I had the privilege of hearing Caleb and Sarah Altmeyer share a bit of their stories. They're with HRC Ministries. Go check them out. They are fighting sex trafficking, and they're reaching out to youth and communities and bringing the love of Christ. But one of the many things that stood out from their story was talking about the purity culture. And if you're not familiar with the purity culture, there was a movement within kind of Christian evangelical spaces to really encourage kids to wait until marriage to have sex. And I grew up in the thick of that. And while possibly well-intentioned, the fallout from that has been just so hurtful for so many, either because it shames people into thinking like, well, I had sex, or I went further than I wanted and now there's no going back, so I might as well just keep going. Or it created this understanding about sex that said it's all bad all the time, and then, oh, you get married and now it's wonderful. Both of those are dysfunctional and unhealthy. And so that point needs to be reiterated time and time again. God desires that we pursue purity, yes, but not just until marriage. God desires that each of us who are followers of Christ are pursuing purity in all areas. And we're going to stumble, we're going to struggle, and there is nothing that we do that is too far beyond the grace of God, that is too much for Christ to forgive. And when we come at people with this message of, here's the line, you cross it, you're broken, all it does is create shame and guilt that drives people away from Christ. In the same way, if people say, okay, there's a line, I'm not going to cross it, we turn a thing that is good, in this case sex, and this is not always true for everything, but sex is a good thing. Sexuality is part of who we are, and that is a good thing that God created. We turn this into a bad thing, and people despise the way that God has made them. And so then when they approach marriage, they walk into their marriage unequipped. They walk into their marriage without the tools that they need to connect with their spouse in a long-term way. And so then we see how purity culture ends up being so hurtful, no matter how well-intentioned it may have been. And one of the things that stood out from that conversation that I had the privilege to hear today was that sexual purity and our desire to encourage our children, young people, towards sexual purity can so often be rules without revelation. Man, that hit home. We are not here to change our kids' behavior, to shape behavior. We want to help drive their heart to know Christ. And so keeping that at the forefront of these conversations. We're not just giving rules. We want our children to have a revelation of what is purity, to have an encounter with Jesus Christ. And sometimes walking through valleys and desert seasons is the most powerful way to do that. And can we trust the Lord with that?